Hi, I'm Regular Zach, and this is my limited set review for the Spider-Man / Through the Omenpaths set. If you haven't heard, the Spider-Man Magic the Gathering set will not be on the online clients. So MTG Arena and MTGO, anything digital, we're going to see Through the Omenpaths, which is all in-universe cards, art and names. And then all the Spider-Man cards are going to be in paper, all cardboard ones. So if you're going to a paper pre-release, look at these cards. And if you're playing on MTG Arena, look at these cards. I'm going to primarily be talking about these ones because that's how we're going to be drafting the majority of the time, because this is a limited set review. So I'm talking about cards in the context of draft and sealed, not constructed. So not really talking about standard or commander or anything like that. Now I'm going to put all these cards on a rating scale from A to F. A's are bombs. These are the best cards in your deck, the ones you're so excited to open and the ones that completely warp the game. B's are cards that actively pull you into the color that we're looking at. C's are cards that are solid. These are like bread and butter cards. Most of your deck is built up of these cards. D's are cards that you're hoping you never have to play, but sometimes they squeeze their way into your deck if something went a little wrong. And then F's are cards that you should never play under any circumstance because they're terrible and they don't even fit in the draft format at all, or like draft in general. They're just like straight up constructed cards and they're just like not good for us. Today we are talking about all the green cards for the set, and we're going to start right off with Cruel Caracals, which is 1 and a green for a 2/2 creature cat villain at common. You can pay 2 and a green, and this creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, activate only once each turn, but it doesn't have to be at a sorcery, so you can attack with this and then hold up the threat of activation, whether you want to do that or not. It's a card. It's a 2-drop you could play, but as far as synergy-wise, meh. And that ability is not super exciting. I'm really not looking forward to play this card. I think it's just probably like a D. It might be annoying at one point, but overall, I'm just not hoping to put this in my deck. Next up, we have Lurking Lizards, which is 1 and a green for a 1/3 creature lizard villain at common. It has Trample. All right, 2 mana, 1/3 Trample. I love 1 power creatures with Trample. I think it's so fun. But it does make sense because it says whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Great. So this obviously cares, like Gruul decks care about casting spells with mana value 4 or greater. I'm sure a lot of decks will be able to do that no matter what. Don't forget that if you have N-Web or Web Slinging, you will be casting cards, so their mana value might be higher than the actual mana that you're spending to actually cast those spells. So that's pretty interesting, and this does a really good job of reminding me of Sahagin from the Final Fantasy set, which overperformed, was extremely good in the one that you were kind of looking for. So if the Gruul deck ends up being really good, this is going to be one of the players in it. But I think overall, this is just a pretty solid 2-drop. I'd be happy to play this, and it might have some late game relevance. So this is like a C-level card. Maybe, you know, sneaks up there being a little bit better, but Lurking Lizards, the 2-drop I'd rather play. Next up, we have Grow Extra Arms, which is 1 and a green for an instant at common. It says this spell costs 1 less to cast if it targets a spider, and it's Titanic Growth. So a target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. For 2 mana, getting +4/+4 is totally fine. It's a combat trick. You will be able to save your creature from combat, and sometimes you snipe your opponent. The fact that if you could play it for 1 mana, that's way more exciting. But it doesn't give trample. There's no, it doesn't give indestructible or hexproof, or can't save you from removal spells. So it really is just a classic pump spell, which is fun, but it's like a C-, maybe like a D+. It's not exciting. You might play 1 copy. Next up, we have Scout the City, which is 1 and a green for a sorcery at common. It says choose 1. You could look around, which is mill 3 cards. You may put a permanent card from among them into your hand, and then you gain 3 life. Or you could bring down, which is destroy target creature with flying. So the sorcery speed 2 mana mill cards, and then return a permanent to your hand and draw, like, gain 3 life. That's pretty great. I think this is a really good card. Like, if there's any sort of like graveyardy synergies, or there's always stuff we want to do with that, but being able to like just turn 2, grab the land that you need because it's any permanent, and then you gain some life to like make up for the fact that you didn't play anything on the board, or late game you just get to blow up somebody's flyer. I don't know. This is great. I like this card a lot. This is like a C plus. This could be one of the hot ticket green commons that we're looking for specific decks. So look out for this one. C plus for Scout the City. Next up, we have Eccentric Arachnologist, which is 2 and a green for a 2/3 creature human advisor at common. It's a mana dork. So 3 mana mana dork, you can tap to add any color that you'd like, which is going to be helpful for certain situations. And then you can also pay 2 and a green and tap it, put a +1/+1 counter on target spider, activate only as a sorcery. So this card is pretty interesting. I think that there are certain decks that will want to be able to have that add 1 mana of any color because we don't have, this is really the one that does it. So that will be nice, but I don't really like mana dorks that cost 3 mana. Most of the time, if you do the 1s and the 2s, those accelerate you into the rest of the, I don't know, the cards that you want to play. And then the 3-drop slot can be so tight. There's so many things that you want to put there. And this isn't always the thing that we're looking at. I do like the extra ability of just, if you've already ramped or fixed your mana or whatever, you can just put counters on stuff. There was a card in Foundations, it was a spider. It did have reach itself, but you could put counters on things. And it ended up being really frustrating where you're just like stuck on these board stalls, but then because they had the spider, they could keep putting counters on things. Now, I don't believe that one had to tap to do it. So this is significantly worse because you could just pump as many counters out as you had mana. So I think this is probably like a C level card. Like, it will be helpful if you're trying to splash something, but not every deck is really looking for this. So just like a C. Yeah. Yeah, I think I like a C. Next up, we have Perilous Lunge, which is 2 and a green for a sorcery at common. It says put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It fights target creature and opponent controls. Yeah, so it feels like there's a lot of like fight in this set and less bite. So a 3 mana sorcery speed fight spell, but you do get a counter. Counters will be helpful for there's like a modified theme. It's not really in green, but every once in a while that might come up. Yeah, I think it's like a C level removal spell. I would prefer to bite people in green. Fighting people, you know, whenever they deal damage to each other instead of just dealing one, you know, I just deal damage. That's, yeah, I just don't like it. It's just such a bummer that we've moved to like the bite world where we don't have to like worry about our creature dying, and we're kind of, this set is bringing us back to the whole fighting thing. I don't like that very much. So it looks like not the best removal spell. Next up, we have a Favored Fighter, which is a 3 and a green for a 4/4 creature human warrior performer at common. It says when this creature enters, create a treasure token. All right. 4 mana 4/4 create a treasure token. That's fine. And then it also says this creature can't be blocked by more than one creature. That is actually a pretty nice line of text. It's not really like, I don't know if we prefer trample, but being able to like just attack into a bunch of like little creatures, and it's like, well, you can't double block or triple block me, so I'm just this big 4/4 stomping around. I do like that, and the treasure goes a very long way. So I think this is probably like a C plus. This, you know, the 4 mana slot is nice because we do have cards that care about this. We've already seen one so far. If we're playing Gruul or anything that has the, you know, cares about casting 4 mana spells, boom, this one's great. It also gives you another mana to play even bigger stuff or splash for something or whatever. So the treasure is huge on this card. I think getting something immediately, do not ever underestimate the strength of just getting cardboard when you play cardboard. Whenever you get something, it always is always better, right? If you get food, blood, clues, whatever, in this case, treasures, it always overperforms, so that's why I'm giving this a C+. Next up, we have Zan, Tunnel Web Explorer, which is 4 and a green for a 4/3 legendary creature spider human hero at common. It has Enweb for 2 and a green, and Enweb is the online client version of Web Slinging. So this is the first card that we've seen in green that does this. And Web Slinging is an alternate casting cost where you can cast it for this instead of the other mana cost, but you also have to return a tapped creature you control to your hand. So you're kind of like you shooting your web out and pulling them back to your hand, I guess. As far as arena goes, I don't think the flavor hits really well, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, so we could Enweb this for 2 and a green, and it says when Zen enters, search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So if you went Enweb, you basically are just casting a normal, like, not cultivate, but like the the classic spell that we get, which is like 3 mana, go get a basic, put it on battlefield tapped. This does that, but you also get a body. You do have to return a creature to your hand, so you know that could be good. Maybe it's not. Though to be fair, the green-white deck is the one that wants to be doing that. Green-white cares the most about like returning creatures to your hand, or there's a lot of good ETBs in that ETBs in that deck. So this card could be pretty good in that. So I'm currently giving it like, you know what? I honestly think this is like a C plus trending to like, it could be like a B minus. I think this is really strong. Like, being able to get the land out of your deck is huge. Also, when you play it for 5 mana, you still get the ability. It's not like it only works if you enweb it. So yeah, C plus for this card too. Nice. Some of these bigger green cards are exciting to me. Next up, we have Chizak, Apex Arachnosaur. Okay. So it's 4 green for a 6/6 legendary creature, spider dinosaur hero at common. It has reach, trample, and ward 2. Cool. Big trampling spider reachy guy with ward. Super annoying card. It just like kind of sits there and is big. But I will say I don't really like it. We've had a lot of interesting like 6 mana 6/6 trample creatures that like they had cycling, or they gain life, or there's a lot of ways to use them earlier in the game, which I think is really important for the slot, and that's usually what makes them a bit better. This is just like better, you know, Colossal Dreadmaw, which is totally fine. I just don't think it's going to be that great. But, you know, I mean, maybe the trample goes a really long way, and it is hard to target and all of those things together. But I kind of like when you get to bail yourself out with some stuff and be able to play your bigger cards a little earlier. Maybe that's just me. So I don't know. I'm thinking that there's better things to do with our mana, and maybe this is just kind of left on the wayside. Maybe this is like a D+, and you hope this isn't your top end, but it might just have to be. I think that's probably where we are, where it's like, oh, I guess I'm playing the Spider Rex and that's my game plan, but you're not stoked on it. So I'm going to give it like a D+ for this whole Chizak guy. Yeah. Anyway, on to the uncommons. We have the Clutter Cluster, which is 1 and a green for a 2/3 legendary creature spider hero at uncommon. It also has Enweb for 4 green, and it says when the Clutter Cluster enters, if they were cast using Enweb, you gain 3 life and create 2/1 green spider creature tokens with reach. So this is a lot more interesting than the last one we saw, right? That was always 6 mana and you know, have this big body or whatever. This, early on, is a 2 mana 2/3. Great stats. 2 mana 2/3 is great. We've been seeing that with Edge of Eternities this whole time. And later in the game, you can Enweb so that you get to get a couple more bodies. They have reach. Like 6 mana, you get a 2/3 and then 2 2/1s. I don't know. You also gain 3 life? This seems awesome. This is like a B-. This card seems like exactly what we kind of want to do. You get something early, you get something late. That's always great and limited. Can't be upset with that. So B-. This card looks sweet. Next up, we have the Ancestral Carvings, which is 2 and a green for an artifact at uncommon. When this artifact enters, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 creature cards from among them, put them into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, and then you can pay 1, tap it, sacrifice this artifact to create a treasure token. All right, so it's basically just a draw spell. This is an artifact draw spell that only draws creatures. Everything else goes on the bottom of your library. And then you can kind of ramp by sacrificing it. It's much more flavorful in the Spider-Man side because you're selling pictures of Spider-Man. That makes sense. I also like the idea that you play the card and then you like go through the top of your library, the top 5 cards, and you pick 2 cards and you show your opponent, like, look, I got these pictures of Spider-Man. I like that idea. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the same flavor on Arena. It won't feel exactly the same, but I know that'll be fun at the pre-release. As far as the card goes, yeah, that's nice. There are weird times where like you're in green and you're kind of like in the spot where it's like, I don't need creatures, I do need lands. Now this does sacrifice for a treasure, so that is kind of nice. It's kind of like saving up mana from a turn previous, where you're like, well, I have this extra mana now and I'm going to sacrifice this thing and then I just get a treasure. So that's kind of nice. Ultimately, I think it's probably like a C. It might go down a little bit. It depends. I'm like iffy on it. It might be closer to like a C minus. I'm not really excited for this card, but it will probably be the one that like my opponent plays, and I'm like, oh man, they just drew a bunch of cards. That's so annoying, and then I'll never want to play it. That's kind of what it looks like to me. Anyway, like C level. Next up, we have Supportive Parents, which is 2 and a green for a 3/3 creature human citizen at uncommon. It says tap 2 untapped creatures you control, add 1 mana of any color. Okay, so this card is just on rate, 3 mana 3/3. That's perfectly normal. But I like this mana ability a bit more than the other one that we had seen, because this one lets you tap whatever creatures you want. You don't even have to tap this 3/3. So you could tap your like 1 and 2 drop or whatever. And the other thing that's really important about the tapping is that if you have tapped creatures and they tap for mana, they help you web into your creatures in your hand. So you don't have to tap this card specifically. You just have to tap untapped creatures. It could be whatever you want at any point in any turn. Though if you want to web, you have to do it on your turn. But if you have something important, there's some good cards that like they enter and you draw cards or do different things like that. You can tap all those cards for mana to pay for the end web. I love that. I think this is really cool. Give it like a C+. Yeah, very excited for this card to be actually strong. And Supportive Parents being great in limited. I love that. That's awesome. Next up, we have Celestia Archivist, which is 3 and a green for a 3/3 creature human citizen at uncommon. It says when this creature enters, choose 1. Return target creature card with mana value 4 or greater from your graveyard to your hand, or exile target artifact or enchantment. Yeah, this is pretty cool, actually. So you get to, like, the 4 mana value thing that cares about that stuff really likes this card because it is 4 mana value, and you get cards back from your graveyard that had went there previously. That's awesome. Or you randomly just snipe somebody's artifact or enchantment. Maybe it hits somebody's like Leyline Binding, or I think it's called Web Up, or I don't remember they threw the Omenpaths version of it, but there is like the classic Leyline Binding kind of thing. So this card seems pretty good. It is in this weird middle ground though. Like if you don't draw a card, I think drawing a card is probably the best thing we can do, and then every once in a while sniping something will be good. I think it's probably going to perform a little bit closer to a C level card, but it has potential to be great. I think it also matters how many other mana value 4 or greater things, like payoff things that you have on your board. But I don't know, the Gravedigger effect and how limiting that is. That's the part I'm most excited about, and I think it's just going to underperform. So I'm just going to give this a C. Yeah. But if you can draw a card, I'm not going to get into that loop. It's a C. Next up, we have Terrific Team Up, which is 3 and a green for an instant at uncommon. It says this spell costs 2 less to cast if you control a permanent with mana value 4 or greater. And then 1 or 2 target creatures you control each get +1/+0 until end of turn. They each deal damage equal to their power to target creature and opponent controls. So there was a card in, I think it was OTJ, where it was like 6 mana and you got to have 2 creatures deal their damage to something. But this is the bite card I was talking about. Like we want bites like this, where we don't have to fight stuff. We just shoot them with our power. And I really want to play this for 2 mana. But if it is a weird instant speed, like 4 mana thing, it's not the end of the world. And it does give a lot of these decks that have like a bunch of smaller creatures a leg up, you know? So I think this will be obviously really good in the Gruul deck because it cares about the mana value 4 or greater, but the fight spells also go really well in that deck because your creatures are so big. So this would also be really good in the green-white deck because that deck cares about being able to go wide and have a bunch of creatures, and that's probably where you're teaming up a little bit more. So I like that it's kind of good in both of those decks, and this is probably like a B-. The mana value makes it look like it shouldn't be, but no. I think this is gonna be good. It's gotta be good. It's gotta be, right? It's gotta be. It's terrific. It's a terrific card. Next up, we have Rouse the Swarm, which is 3 and a green for an enchantment at uncommon. When this enchantment enters, create a 2/1 green spider creature token with reach. Then you gain 1 life for each spider you control. Spiders you control get +1/+1 and can't be blocked by creatures with Defender. I do not remember how many creatures with Defender are in the actual set, but a 4 mana, like, all your creatures get +1/+1. So you're just giving an Anthem to all your spiders. So not all your creatures, sorry, all your spiders, which I'm assuming is probably a bunch of your creatures. And you get a creature along the way, and you get it, like, gain a bunch of life with it. Build around wise, this could be really good. I think there are a ton of spiders in the set. I think they're just like everywhere. Like you just trip over them. And there's also a bunch of cards that like you want the card that makes a bunch of spiders. The one from earlier, the clutter cluster thing. That would be fantastic in this deck. I don't know. I like this a lot. This is like a B- as well. Just like a 4 mana Anthem that comes with the creature. But then if they kill the creature, you still have the Anthem. I mean, I don't know why we haven't really had this in white before. This is great. And it's in green. Dang. Anyway, B- for Rouse the Swarm. Really sweet card. Next up, we have Oris, Last of the Web Lords, which is 4 and a green for a 3/5 legendary creature Spider Human Advisor at uncommon. It has reach. And says at the beginning of combat on your turn, target spider you control gets +2/+2. No, I don't like it very much. 5 mana for a 3/5 reach, like, it's totally fine. And the combat thing as well is totally fine. It only happens on your turn, and you need... I guess it can give it to itself, which is kind of nice. That's the only upside, that you don't have to have another spider. It is a spider itself, so it does target itself. But... overall, I don't know, some of these bigger green cards I'm not super excited about. There's some like gold ones that are a bit better, but I don't know. I feel like this is probably a D2. It's just not that exciting. Just wait, these beat the crap out of me. Anyway, yeah, I'm just gonna give Oris a D. I don't really want to play it that much. I'm not excited at all. Next up, we have Fate Weaver. I'm very excited for this card. So this is a single green for a 1/1 creature spider at rare. It has reach and death touch. And you can pay 2 mana to sacrifice this creature, search your library for a spider hero card. I wonder how many there are of those. And then you reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle, activate only as a sorcery. Now, one thing I might have forgotten to say at the beginning of this video is that we are in a different draft format. So basically, what I'm assuming is going to happen, instead of having 8 players and you all draft 1 card from every pack that you're playing, you're going to be drafting with 4 players and you pick 2 cards from every pack that you're playing with. The set is a little bit smaller, and that's what they've kind of talked about and kind of pushed as like the main way to draft this set. And this card is one of my prime examples of why that's fantastic. Because... usually what you have to do is you have to pick between this or a sweet spider hero card. But if you pick 2 cards from your opening pack, you see a Fate Weaver, you're like, well, I'm going to snatch up that Fate Weaver, and then whatever spider hero looks good that's in green or whatever other color that looks nice, I will snatch that one up as well. And then you have both the tutor and the target in the same pack. That makes this card skyrocket in value. I think without the pick 2 thing, it kind of goes down. Like, it's totally fine and playable. Like, we enjoy having a 1 mana 1/1 death touch in general, but you're probably going to take that at like a C level. Like, you're happy to play it. But with this tutor thing and the pick 2, I think this goes to like a B+. Like, I'm much more excited about this card now. Like, way more excited. Probably too excited. But I'm most excited for this card. I don't know why, but it's so great. I'm very much looking forward to it. Next up, we have Tyrantusk, Unwisely Awoken, which is 1 and a green for a 2/2 legendary creature, spider boar hero at rare. It says when Tyrantusk enters, create a food token, and other spiders, boars, bats, bears, birds, cats, dogs, frogs, jackals, lizards, mice, otters, rabbits, raccoons, rats, squirrels, turtles, and wolves you control get +1/+1. Okay, I think really what matters the most about that is spiders, but the other ones are kind of nice too. There are some lizards and cats, I guess. And I guess there are birds too. Okay, you know, maybe this will actually be kind of surprising, the amount of things that get +1/+1 because of this card. Obviously, spiders are the most important, but so look out for that. It's a really big batch. This is what they call batching, where they just put a bunch of creature types together. And it's a lot. It's a lot with this. I mean, to be fair, Usually batching is on multiple cards, and this is the only card that cares about all those creature types. Thank God they're in almost alphabetical order. They put spiders right up at the top just to make sure you understood it was about spiders. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, a 2-mana 2/2 makes a food. Just the fact that you make a food when you play it is actually really good. I think that's like one of the biggest parts about it. You're like, sweet, I get a piece of cardboard. That's awesome. And then, of course, giving your creature, like being a lord is great. This is like a B, could even go up to like a B plus or an A, depending on how many things you have in your deck that are these. If it pumps all your creatures, it's probably one of the best cards in your deck. So, yeah, really good card. Tyran Tusk. I love it. This is so weird. Next up, we have Strength of Will, which is 1 and a green for an instant at rare. It says, until end of turn, target creature you control gains indestructible, and whenever this creature is dealt damage, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. I like this. This looks fun. The dream of they attack with a giant thing. You chump with something small, you give it indestructible, it gets a bajillion counters. Like, that's exciting. Also, all of the random like 1-power creatures that have trample, I really want to do that with those cards, because you block with your like lurking lizard thing, and then you give it a bunch of counters, and then trample becomes super relevant. Like, that all sounds like a lot of fun. I think this card is also just great. This is more of what the combat trick I would be like excited to play. Because even if you're going into a combat where you're like going to trade, just getting all those counters and keeping your creature around is pretty big. So that's super nice. The only weird thing is obviously you're not getting the counters until, well, after the damage is dealt. But I think this is a good card. Yeah, it dodges removal and all that jazz. So it like a B. I like cards like this. Yeah, I'm going to give this a B. Strength of Will. Very cool. Next up, we have the Scouring Storm Soul, which is 1 green for a star legendary creature, sand, elemental villain at rare. It says when the Scouring Storm Soul's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control, so 3 probably when you first play it. Actually, no, it's double green, so probably like 4 or 5. It says the Scouring Storm Soul can't be blocked by creatures of power 2 or less, and you can pay 3 green, return this card, and target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. This is a card that really likes Scout for the City, where you're milling stuff into your yard, and then hopefully you can just keep bringing this back over and over and over and over again. This is a really good card. I think this is our first A. This is scary. Like, it's just a threat that keeps on coming. Like, you cannot deal with this thing unless you can exile it. But, like, man, it is going to be so brutal trying to deal with this stupid thing, especially because you can't block with a bunch of little dudes. You need things that are much bigger, and it loves doing that. It literally, it's like a wrecking ball that comes in and it keeps smashing you in the face, or like smashing all of your big blockers, and you just keep bringing it back and bringing it back. No, this card is sweet. Also, just remember, it says return this card and target land. I was going to say only the land comes into play tapped, but they both come into play tapped, so never mind. Don't worry about that. All right, on to the next one. We have a Trail of Teacups, which is 3 and a green for a saga at rare. It has 3 chapters. It says mill 5 cards. When you do, this saga deals damage equal to the greatest power among creature cards in your graveyard to target creature. Chapter 2 is target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. And chapter 3 is return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. This is pretty interesting, because it goes more in that mill deck again, and we'd use like the sand dude from before. That'd be really sweet. If you got both these cards, it'd be awesome. But it's really weird because it's a fight spell for a creature that's in your graveyard, which is really bizarre, because I don't think we've ever had a creature in a graveyard fight stuff before. I guess technically it's a bite, so you're just dealing the damage, which is very good. But yeah, super cool card. And then you get to pump your creature, and then you get to feasibly return the creature that you milled to your hand to then play, and it's like giant, has huge power. This is like a B+. It's a removal spell, and it draws you a card. Yeah, the only weird chapter is in the middle where you kind of want another creature on the battlefield, which hopefully you have anyway. But no, this card is great. I think this is going to be so annoying. Randomly hiding your big creature in your graveyard killing stuff, you're just not really expecting that ever. It's just not something that happens in Magic. So I think it's a really cool design space. I'm excited to see what else we see with creatures in graveyards fighting stuff. Anyway, next up we have King of the Cold Blood Curse. It's 2 green for a 5/5 legendary creature, lizard villain at rare. It has trample. It says, when King of the Cold Blood Curse enters, up to 1 target creature loses all abilities and becomes a green lizard creature with base power and toughness 4/4. So obviously the joke here is that it's a 4 mana 5/5 with trample, and then you could curse one of your opponent's creatures, which gives them a 4/4, which of course if you're fighting, you always win. You can also turn one of your stupid little 1/1s into a 4/4, which is much more exciting and really where the power in this card comes from. You don't have to do that either. So it could just be a 4 mana 5/5 with trample, which is still above rate and pretty exciting and the type of thing you would want. This is probably like an A- actually. I was originally thinking B+, but I think knowing that you're going to be able to do this, having some dorks around and turning those creatures into 4/4s, awesome. Awesome stuff. And then, yeah. I don't know. And then if your creature ever dies, then you can hopefully return this to your hand and do it again. Or, there are definitely ways you could do that. So this card seems sweet. Even with his like silly little face, I think he's awesome. And this is going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Cool card. A for the King of the Cold Blood Curse. Next up, we have our Mythics. First up is Kren, Undercity Dreamer, which is 1 and a green for a 1/2 legendary creature, human citizen hero at Mythic. It says when Kren enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. So Kren and something else. It also has another ability. You can transform it for 3 red, green, white. Activate only as a sorcery. It transforms into Kren of the Spider Brood, which is a 4/3 legendary creature spider human hero. It has first strike and haste, so when you transform, you can immediately get in there. And you can pay 2, I guess to be fair, no. That wouldn't really matter because you're not even exiling it, you're just transforming it on the battlefield. So if you had played this and it was on the battlefield for a while and then you transformed, it would be able to attack that turn anyway. It's more so if you play this. So it does have a mana cost. You don't have to actually transform it. You can just play this for 6 mana. It hits the battlefield. 4/3, first strike, haste. Really exciting. Also, you can pay 2 mana to put a +1/+1 counter on Kren. He gains hexproof and becomes colorless until end of turn. And whenever you attack, double the number of each kind of counter on each spider and legendary creature you control. So this card, if you put counters on it earlier from the front side, if that's the way that you're doing this, then you flip it to the other side, you attack, you already double the counters, and it gives you a way to put more counters on it and keep it alive. This looks crazy. This is like an A+. Like, this is going to be such a headache to try to freaking deal with. Like, yeah, primarily you probably want to make sure that you have 8 mana, so 6 to play this and then 2 to keep it alive. But if you're able to do that, what is your opponent going to do? Like, hexproof is so brutal to deal with. And first strike all the time? Ugh, and you can just pump it with extra mana that you have at the end of the turn. And then on your turn, like, attack and double all the counter. It's going to be so hard to deal with. This card looks like a bomb, like super bomb. Like, you're showing this off. There's a flip card for every one of the colors. Most of them are pretty cool. I really like this one. This one's sweet. Next up, and last green card is Through the Omenpath, which is 6 green for an enchantment at Mythic. It has Convoke, which means you can cast, you can use you can pay for it with creatures on your battlefield. So you can tap creatures to help cast it. They either tap for the colorless, or if they're green, they can tap for the green. At the beginning of combat on your turn, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So you can feasibly play this if you take a turn off. Let's say this is, even this feels like Magical Christmas Land, but if you have like 4 creatures, right, and 4 mana, you could tap 4 creatures, tap 4 mana, play this, and then at the beginning of combat on your turn. So it's not even, you don't even have to wait until your upkeep. You get a blocker that turn. Or hopefully, you might whiff. You only look at 5 cards. So like there's a possibility that happens. But like first main phase, tap your board, slam this, spin the wheel, hope that you get something. That comes down. If it's gigantic, you're just so happy, right? And if it's not, at least maybe it chumps and then you don't die and you keep doing this over and over and over again. this is another A+. This card seems fantastic. It seems really, really scary and a way to just cheat on mana, which is always good. Playing things for free, and then you can just continue to get stuff for free every single turn. Like, you're gonna win in like quick order. This card is strong. I feel like it's probably best in like the green-white decks where you're trying to go wide and you have a bunch of little stupid dudes. That sounds fantastic. But also in Gruul, you'll be pretty excited because then you can play really big things. I don't know, this card seems awesome. Love the Convoke on this. That makes it so much better. So much better. But anyway, folks, that is what I think about all the green cards from the set. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Tell me which cards I was completely wrong about and which ones I, wasn't high enough on, or your favorite card, or your favorite art, or if I should have been talking about the Spider-Man version and not the Omenpath version, all that stuff. I'd love to hear it. It's a really confusing set as far as like what to actually focus on and what to deal with. I have chosen to focus on Through the Omenpaths, but anyway, well, only time will tell whether that was a good choice or not. Who knows? But anyway, folks, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.